And well, special thanks to all those who are still watching the Spy TV World News live show, and this is with Wycliffe Kakumba. Now, let's go into the Spy TV World News top stories, where at least 68 people have been killed after a flash flood swept through the parts of central Texas. Now, Kellville County Sheriff Larry Wraith confirms that 59 people, including 21 children, have been killed in the country, as other deaths have been reported across the state. Well, the Texas Governor Greg Abbott says authorities will stop at nothing to ensure every last missing person is rescued.
We will be relentless in going after and ensuring that we locate every single person who's been a victim of this flooding event. We're not going to stop today or tomorrow. We will stop when the job is completed.
Now, well, as you can see on the screen, that's part of the drone footage that captured the scale of destruction in Georgia town. Now, as well, this drone footage continues to show raging floodwaters after the San Gabriel River burst its banks and partially submerged the buildings. Well, Spy TV World News Live shall keep you posted with the latest developments. Well, in other top stories, the Kenyan President William Ruto ordered police to shoot protesters targeting businesses in the legs, ensuring they are incapacitated but not killed. Well, it should be remembered that the UN and human rights groups have accused the police of using excessive force in the recent wave of anti-government protest in Kenya, where 31 people have been killed on Monday only. Now, according to a Kenyan state-run TV, this statement read, "Anyone caught burning another person's business and property should be shot in the leg, hospitalized and later taken to court. Don't kill them, but ensure their legs are broken," said the president.
We wanted peaceful demonstrations, but now tear gas is all over. We can't work. We're being shot with bullets. Ruto should humble himself and listen to Gen Z.
So mtu ambaye anaenda kuchoma biashara ya mtu mwingine, mtu ambaye anachukua moto anaenda kuchoma mali ya watu wengine, mtu kama huyo apigwe risasi miguu aende hospitali akienda kotini. Hapana, hiyo mchezo watu waache.
Now, he further warned his political rivals against sponsoring and using violent protest and unlawful means to forcefully remove him from power. And yes, we also latest in sports, where Brazilian manager Carlo Ancelotti has been sentenced to a year in prison by a Spanish court for tax evasion, but he will not have to go into jail. Now, the former Chelsea and Everton boss was accused of failing to €1 million in tax on his salary during his first spell in charge of the Real Madrid from 2013 to 2015. Now, Ancelotti survives prison, but will have to pay a whopping sum of €387,000 for failing to pay his tax arrears. Now, Ancelotti, aged 66, ended a second spell with Real Madrid at the end of last season and took the Brazil job. Now, under Spanish law, any sentence under 2 years of a non-violent crime rarely requires a defendant without previous convictions to serve in jail. Well, let's turn to the Spy TV World News top story, where Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is visiting the United States. A visit analysts expect will focus on celebrating Israel and the US self-anointed victory against Iran, and will be discussing a proposal for a ceasefire in Israel's war on Gaza. Well, the Spy TV World News understands that this will be the third time this year Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting US President Donald Trump, who claims that the Israel obliterated Iran's nuclear program during the 12-day war, and that would resume bombing Iran if it restarts nuclear activities.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
They are threatening us, and they ask us to come and surrender, which surprises us. First of all, they should threaten someone who is scared of their threat.
Surrounding Israel, surrounding countries, great cooperation from every single one of them. So something good will happen.
Well, it should be remembered that last week Trump said Israel had agreed to conditions for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, which would allow all parties to work towards an end of Israel's 21-month-long war on the besieged enclave. Now, on July 4th, the Hamas gave a positive response to the Qatar and the Egyptian mediators about the latest ceasefire proposal. And on Friday, after the Hamas response to the proposal, Trump said there could be a deal and promised to be very firm with Netanyahu to ensure this ceasefire.
We were sleeping peacefully and around 2:50 a.m. we suddenly heard the sound of drones. The attack felt like a ring of fire. These are school children. What is it about this school? There is nothing in it except children. It shelters only kids who have nowhere else to go. These drones are targeting nylon tents where people are simply trying to sleep. I honestly don't know why.
We want these negotiations to be serious and lead to a truce, to a ceasefire. Otherwise, it's a waste.
We're working with the United States very closely about finding countries that will seek to realize what they always say that they want.
Now, according to a leaked copy of the deal obtained by the Spy TV World News Live show, indicate that the ceasefire entails a 60-day pause in hostilities and a phased release of some of the 58 Israeli captives held in Gaza since Hamas-led attack on Israel on the 7th of October last year. Well, it should be noted that Israel's war on Gaza has killed at least 57,000 people, mostly women and children, in what the United Nations experts, legal scholars and human rights groups described as a genocide against the Palestinians.
We were woken up at 3 a.m. by a very loud sound. We thought the bombing was right on our tent. Thankfully, we got out and found that the neighbor's tent had been hit.
Do you think the war should end?
Please stop the war. Iran, please stop.
And as we told you, Spy TV World News Live tonight is hosting a panel of analysts to throw more light and have a very wider perspective onto this Israel conflict.
And now, well, as we told you earlier, that we would bring in Spy TV's World News Live correspondent all the way from Israel, Mrs. Tanya Kramer, who is here to tell us the latest on what Trump and Netanyahu discussed in the meeting and what exactly we should expect. What exactly went down between the Trump and Netanyahu meeting?
Well, right now, I mean, what is being publicly discussed is one thing. What is going on behind the scene is another. Obviously, we're having right now these two tracks. We're seeing this visit by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington. On the other hand, there are those indirect proximity talks in Qatar, in Doha, between Hamas and Israel. And of course, the mediator is trying to hammer out a ceasefire and hostage release deal. And, you know, we don't know at the moment where those talks stand. We get really very conflicting reports from there, what basically are still the sticking points. Some of them we know it's about the withdrawal of Israeli forces. It's about the aid distribution. There's a lot of talk about the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, whether they still play a role. And of course, about the key demand by Hamas for an end, a permanent end to the war. All in all, there should be a 60-day ceasefire and a partial, which is from the point of view of Israel, more of a temporary plan or a ceasefire to release half of the living hostages and 18 of those that are deceased.
Well, I'm also privileged to having been joined by the professor in international relations, Adnan Ayachi, all the way from Amman, the capital of Jordan. Mr. Adnan Ayachi, do you see any sign of a peace agreement?
There's no hope of a peace plan. Israel has been doing this for many years. It's taken, annexing Palestinian lands, taking their homes and kicking the Palestinians out. It is not only after October 7th. It's been the story of the Palestinians forever. And this goes to the strategies of Israel. They want the land without people. It is only a Jewish state. They want it only for the Jewish people. So they make it very, very hard for the Palestinians to live. They're attacking them and their source of living. So it's a continuation of what Israel is doing. And they get the support of Trump, because also Trump supported Israel in his first administration of having the Golan Heights and maybe moving the American embassy to Jerusalem.
Okay, hold it there, Mr. Adnan. Now, Mrs. Kramer, back to you. Is there any article more special in the peace deal itself?
Now, there are a lot of, there's a lot of discussion here, but what's very interesting, the new plan that has been proposed by Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, he called it a bit of a misleading term, a humanitarian city that should be erected on the ruins of Rafah. That's the southernmost city, or was the southernmost city in the Gaza Strip, where he wants to see most of the population being transferred to, and where Hamas has no role to play in this area. So that would be an area basically where you would see Israeli troops holding the Philadelphia corridor, which is the border area between Egypt and Gaza, and this newly built Morak corridor, which is this corridor basically between Khan Yunis and Rafah. So that is the first stage then of getting some people out there.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Adnan Ayachi, a professor in international relations, and as well, thank you so much, Mrs. Tanya Kramer, a Spy TV World News correspondent from Israel. Well, that has been it for today, and this has been the Spy TV World News Live with Wycliffe Kakumba.